Gather near. This is not just a tale of love. It is a story forged in blood, betrayal, and ancient curses. Aduora believed she was marrying for happiness, but her wedding night unveiled a darker inheritance. The serpent born in fire and white lace, and the priest who chose salvation over fear. Stay close to the flames, because fear lives where truth is buried. Under the midday sun, the palm-aged compound hummed with anticipation. Laughter soared over kola nut offerings. Aduora, dressed in cream lace and coral beads, glowed like dawn. Her smile betrayed hidden storms. Okoye the groom wore a tailored agbada, but his heart quivered. Elders braced palm fronds. Children whispered ancient proverbs. The wedding feast was lush, the drumming rhythmic, a celebration marred only by foreboding currents in the wind. As vows echoed through a rustic pavilion, Aduora gasped and slipped sideways. Her alabaster sleeve darkened. In slow motion, laughter died. She sank, her silhouette bending against the altar mat. Villagers froze. Historical midwives and local medicine men rushed. The priest stepped back, voice cracking. Blood blossomed on lace. Aduora's lips tried to shape a smile, but darkness took her first. In the candlelit hut, midwives descended. A broom lay tossed, wine bowl cracked. Aduora convulsed. Hush fell. Suddenly, a sinewy tail slid. A python birthed from flesh mirroring terror. Scales glinted under lantern light. Its head, broad and triangular, moved like flowing ink. The midwife shrieked. Flames flickered, casting serpent shadows. Aduora's form went rigid. Elder Obi burst in with holy water and prayer beads. He set his staff at the center. Flames flared higher as he chanted Igbo incantations over the creature. He soaked the python with sacred water. Its body writhed, shrieked, and dissolved like mist rolling into dawn. Aduora lay still. Elder Obi's voice trembled. What walked like serpent, returns to serpent. You carry the curse of ancestors. But in truth, there is redemption. He fell to his knees. Aduora's eyes flickered open, faint as dawn. Is this my fate? Word coursed through Umamba like spilled cola wine. The villagers formed factions. Some demanded Aduora's banishment. Others pled faith. Elder Obi preached restraint. Curses are inherited, but they can end. He revealed a curse dating back centuries. An ancestor who angered a river goddess. Aduora trembled as she learned she was descended from the cursed. Her ancestor's secret spilled into daylight, and she realized her marriage was never ordinary. Aduora wandered through her own compound feeling foreign. Reflection in communal water looked hollow. Okoye's eyes held pity and fear. Children crossed the street when she walked past. Her mother visited with old kola nuts and whispered, "Child, the world sees serpent, not sorrow." Nights brought haunting dreams, scales on her flesh, hisses in her ears. She grew quieter. The village moved around her, cautious and curious. Under a harvest moon, Aduora dreamt of the river. She saw herself knee-deep in water, surrounded by shimmering serpent spirits. A woman with serpentine eyes reached out. "Your ring is the link. Free it or drown your love." She awoke clutching her carved wedding ring, a snake emblem glinting where love once resided. She shivered, cursed and chosen. A public meeting at the compound ended in chaos. Okoye's mother brandished threats. Divorce, banishment, ancestral portents. Okoye stood silent when they demanded Aduora leave. She refused. Under the fiery midday sky, she ripped the wedding ring, its twin serpent heads clinking on stone. Murmurs rippled. She discarded it. She walked away. At midnight on the riverbank, Aduora held the broken ring over flowing water. The current pulled it beneath, red swirling where gold lost shape. She whispered a name, a blessing, a release. From beneath the water's surface came a red serpent-eye glare, then melding wave. She watched until the river stilled, and the curse slipped loose. At dawn, Elder Obi, villagers, and Okoye awaited by tranquil water. Edaora emerged in white cloth. She waded in. He lifted her chin, baptized her 3 times. River ripples turned silver. He shed sorrow. Subtle scale-like water droplets shimmered across her shoulders. Gone with ritual. The village exhaled. Under shades of mango and simmering pots, Umamba celebrated life again. Edaora sat beside Okoye, who wept openly. Great uncles shook his hand. Small children ran barefoot. Elder Obi blessed them. Gathered kola nuts and vendors offered gifts. The bride, now free of curse, held a banana leaf-wrapped yam offering, symbol of endurance and birth done differently. At dusk, Edaora returned to the river shrine for bones. She exhumed an old bone from her ancestor's grave, a small python vertebra sketched on it. She burned it with kola husks, turning old bones into ash. She returned the ash to flowing water. Freedom tasted like ember smoke. Many months later, Okoye returned strong, his stall rebuilt. Edaora carries a baby in locally woven cloth. The child cries. The villagers applaud. She holds a blue cloth termed witch scale, now tamed. Village musicians play oja flutes. Young girls dance in front of her. She smiles radiant. The serpent has become her guardian, not her curse. Elder Obi presents Edaora with a new ring, carved human and serpent heads entwined, symbol of harmony, not fear. He blesses families. He says, "Let love be born where fear was bred. Let healing outshine dread." Okoye places ring on her finger. Silently they walk toward the river. They walk free. Many fear stories of serpent brides, but true fear lies not in a hidden scale, but in the silence after the scream. Edaora did not kill the spirit, she learned from it. The priest did not exorcise the bride. He freed her. And in that fire of truth, a cursed bloodline became a blessing. So listen close. Not every bride looks like a serpent, but every bride deserves the chance to shed her shell. Subscribe to Tales by the Fire for more stories that teach and serve warning. Despite Edaora's celebration with a child in her arms, beneath her Iase-colored smile lurked villagers' whispers. She walked from a snake's body. Will she slip back into silence? Okoye noticed mothers figuratively shaking their kola nuts as he passed. Edaora felt it too, a shudder behind her bones. She and Okoye sat nightly under the mango tree, feeding their child kola nut mush, asking each other if the water truly rinsed away the serpent's legacy or only hid it. Elder Obi summoned Edaora in secrecy beneath the shrine. He produced a leather scroll bound in iron marked with ancestral symbols. "You deserve the rest of the prophecy," he said, revealing his family's lineage had stewarded this curse for generations before it reached Edaora. Hidden in the scroll was a half-used ritual, forked tongue binding written only for married women bitten by spirit snakes. Edaora recognized the curve of her ring, and fear rippled deeper in Okoye's chest. The priest had purpose long before he preached. Okoye was plagued by guilt. He sought Edaora's forgiveness at the river. He lowered his voice over rushing water. "I never once honored your pain." Edaora reached across the ripples, running cold water over his offer of peace. Tears slipped into the river, fading but cleansing. The next market sunrise took Edaora to a vision dream. There, under the baobab, she saw past maidens who had carried the same curse lineage, danced with serpents, died in childbed, until one woman who offered her womb to the river goddess at dawn. Springing forth forests, she became country's guardian. Edaora was granted 2 choices in this vision: live in fear or live with purpose. At the river shore, under soft orange sunrise, Edaora invited the community for reconciliation, not just with her but with their ancestors. She led them through a cleansing chant, every voice in harmony with the river's breath. Children played in water. Elders bowed palms. Shawls and yam and kola balls were thrown into the river like a blessing, turning curse into continuity. Okoye, trembling, held his father-in-law's rusted machete under moonlight. He chopped palm into firewood, then handed each villager a lantern shaped like snake scales. You saw fear. I offer light now. His humility melted caution. Edoora stepped forward, placing a small kola on each lantern. Gifts given, not demanded. Their child, now standing, spoke her first word. Mother. Edoora and Okoye held each other as the child drummed a small wooden flute. It played a familiar lullaby from the river. Tears shone on villagers' cheeks. Someone whispered, "She freed the serpent without losing her humanity." At the main gathering under the mango tree, Elder Obi unrolled his leather scroll to the villagers. He recited the prophecy unabridged, including his involvement and regret. He inserted the broken ring magnetically over a bowl of sacred water, where it dissolved into silver fuzz. Edoora, breathing geothermal relief, added, "Let no ancestor or serpent silence us again." That night Edoora and Okoye returned to the riverbank. Edoora laid her head on the water's lullabies. From the river surfaced a small glowing spirit, woman and serpent entwined, bowing. Then clarity. Adoora's child, human but serpent descended, held no sign of curse. The goddess granted full release, to family, to curse-scarred lineage, to the village itself. In morning's bright hush, Edoora and Okoye visited the ancestral shrine. The priest drew snake-scale patterns in chalk around their new modest home. "May all who live here honor both river and land." He handed Edoora a small clay ring etching village motifs. They pressed it into the shrine, forging ancient and new unity. Adoora's daughter learned to walk barefoot near river sand. She giggled as she traced snake shapes with toys. One afternoon she dropped her flute. Everyone laughed, until the flute's whistle sang again in the breeze. Edoora gasped, found ancient symbols carved cunningly on it. The child, descendant not curse, would be both healer and knower. One gathering later Edoora asked, "Will you be less afraid of your daughters now?" The villagers nodded. She declared, "From today, Umana trains girls in river care." Families agreed. Boys and girls lined up along the river to bathe brides in water. Mothers knelt beside womb-sharing chants. Covenant reborn. One twilight, Okoye found Adoora's old snake veil cloth folded neatly on the shrine altar, untouched. He noticed subtle serpent embroidery glowing faintly. They had not destroyed everything. In the shadows behind them, a flickering figure. Perhaps a spirit, perhaps memory. Edoora sensed it but walked forward unafraid. Years later, Adoora's daughter crowned herself ambassador of the river's peace. She ponied a white flute, telling the story in youth gatherings. She grew fearless. She healed the children with song. Every year Edoora and Okoye led the wedding ritual renewal, asking not ancestors to hide sins, but to bless futures. Around a bright fire, children huddled. Adoora's daughter paused her flute song and looked straight at the storyteller. "When you think you've buried fear, look again, your memories are sharper than the knife. When love learns not to fear its own darkness, fear becomes myth. And the serpent, it might still slither, but it no longer chooses the bed. This fire burns only what must be released." Remember the story not as horror, but as truth that teaches the next generation.